Jocelynn, welcome to the Star Coach Show.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
Well, Jocelynn is a really special person, and you all are going to understand with no problem why I have her on the show to meet all of you and bring her wisdom forward. Jocelynn is the CEO and founder of J Flowers Marketing. So we all know that if we're a secret, we're not going to be a success. Now, Jocelynn and I met and have had the pleasure of kind of hanging out together and sipping on some beverages and being in beautiful Palm Springs together because I met Jocelynn through work I did with Rick Tamlin, a guest who's been on the show twice already. And he does incredible work getting people's work into the world. Jocelynn is on his team. And so I had the joy of working directly with Jocelynn. And we thought, the work that you do in being a productivity specialist, a social media manager, and owning this business, J Flowers Marketing, where you work with your team to help entrepreneurs get their work into the world. Just made a whole lot of sense. What do we do here? We get people's work into the world. You are in your 7th year of business, which is pretty exciting because through my experience both as a marriage therapist as well as a business owner all these years before I became a coach 15 years ago, I got to tell you that 7th year is like a make or break. You would be surprised at how many couples came to see me at 7 years, how many business owners came to see me frustrated now as a coach at 7 years. 7 years is some kind of a hump. And I know you'll fly right past that hump. And you're going to help all of us do that because today we're talking about 3 non-negotiables for marketing. This is do not pass go, do not collect $200. We've got to get these 3 things in place in order to help us soar. So we're going to talk about what they are and what they look like what we can do, what we need to be thinking about. So excited about that. We're going to have links to connect with Jocelynn in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, they're going to be right below this interview. I'll remind you again at the end of the interview. Also, just as you're listening, if the Star Coach Show is something you enjoy, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen, whether you're listening on any of those social media platforms or whether you're watching us right now on YouTube. So with that, let's dive into the 3 non-negotiables for marketing. Jocelynn, where do we want to start?
Yes. Well, first off, I want to thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm excited to share with your audience our 3 non-negotiables for marketing. So our first non-negotiable is obviously showing up because as you mentioned, if you're a seeker, you can't be a success. So the question I often get through prospects, current clients is, what do you mean by show up? Where do I show up? How do I show up? And the first part is just show up as you, because ultimately people are going to connect with you as the individual, as the human. And that's a big piece of how kind of I approach marketing with my clients, is bringing the human forward and bringing the human first, because that's who you're going to connect with. That's who you're going to build that trust, that rapport with, is the human. So showing up as you in your true authentic self, being real and raw, because as you know, being a business owner can be a little tough sometimes.
It can be a
Um,
challenge. And I think that when we feel uncertain, it's like, well, what's this person doing? Or should I show up under this persona? Or should I? And the reality is somebody wants to hire you and what you're bringing forward. So if you start first of all, being inauthentic, you're not going to be as magnetic, regardless of how awesome the persona is that you're trying to bring forward. If it's not really you, you've got to be able to extend this through the life of your relationship. So let the person understand who you are.
Absolutely. And I think that's really truly what a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners are looking for, is like, how can I still have that in-person connection, where a lot of us are digital, we're working online now. Even though in-person's coming back, we have to create that connection through a Zoom call where they understand who you are as the person. So showing up as yourself is the most important. Now, the big question, where do I show up? Social media, email marketing, having a website, if that's something that you want to have. I don't believe a website is absolute because you can have other platforms you're driving them to. I do think it comes with certain stages of your business just to kind of have that formal business calling card that you can drive them to for all of your information. But start out small, start out on social media. It's free advertising. So being able just to show up, doing videos, showing images, anything like that, just start showing up and show up consistently. That's what's going to start making a difference in the trajectory of your business success.
Love that. And I want everybody to hear this is the 2020s, ladies and gentlemen. So it's not just showing up at in-person networking events. That's lovely and that's wonderful. And you can really rub elbows with people. However, this is 2020s. If you do not have any digital footprint, people
Mhm.
are going to believe that you do not exist. If I meet you at a networking event, I'm probably going to look you up to see what your LinkedIn profile looks like or what you're doing on Facebook, or if you are, sharing on a YouTube channel. I'm going to look to see what it is that you're doing. And if I don't find you at all,
Mhm.
it's going to be a little nerve-wracking and unlikely that it's going to go any further. What are your thoughts about that, Jess?
Absolutely, because I'm definitely one of those people who, if I meet someone in person, first thing I'm going to do is look up, do they have social media? I don't necessarily judge whether they're super active on social media, but I'm going to see, do they have a platform? Then I'm going to look, oh, do they have a website? What are the ways that I can connect with them? Because like you said, if there isn't any digital footprint, I'm already getting a bad taste in my mouth of, okay, is this person real or did they feed me a line? What's going on here? And so I always look at that because it just confirms what you say and how you present yourself in person to what they're seeing on digital. So that's another thing is, even if you have digital platforms, make sure, again, you're not showing up as two different personas, in person and digital. Make sure you're showing up truly and as authentically as yourself in both areas, because you don't want to have the mixed messaging or the confusion of, oh, I met her talking about this but now she's talking about this. So we never want to confuse fire.
Consistency in messaging, consistency in your brand is important. We've had many shows talking about that you're going to have a brand whether you set out to have a brand or not. So let's set out and have the brand that really represents who you are.
Yes, absolutely. And I've learned this firsthand in naming my company with my name in it. A lot of people think I'm a florist, but no, my last name's just Flowers. So I've learned to really step forward and this is who I am, this is what I provide, and this is how I can connect with you so that there is no confusion from the get-go. And I've learned that that's helped kind of start to shift the momentum digitally, where I'm not showing up as much in searches for floral arrangements.
Mhm.
So it's definitely started to show up digitally a lot better so that I'm not getting as many confused callers when they're looking for services.
But the other thing that's important about what you just said is that you're also that consistency
Mhm.
means something to the clients that are looking for you, but it also gives Google or other search engines the data that they need to be able to put you in the right searches. So consistency in message is also feeding the algorithm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let me
Ab-
ask you this, Jocelyn. Let's say I'm brand new and I'm like, okay, so I've got these non-negotiables. Jocelyn says I need to show up. That's a little intimidating, like there's 52 million different platforms. What do I like? How would you recommend for somebody just getting traction? Um, pick one, pick a few. I mean, like, what do you tend to recommend to your clients?
Yes, so I generally, if they're from at least familiar with social media for their personal life, I always say pick the platform that you're already actively using in your personal life because then you're not trying to train yourself on how to use something. You know a
Mhm.
little bit of the basics. It's just shifting what the intention is of using it for business instead of personal. So I also look at what can the platform offer me? Can I do video? Can I do images? Can I write copy? Can I share links? Because ultimately, you want to be able to drive them from that social media platform to other places. So, having more of that versatility in a platform to start with is just going to help you continue to expand versus starting on a platform that may not have all of those features and then you have to find another one that does offer it or offers a few more things and then you're bouncing around until you really find a platform that works best for you. Obviously, there's different strategy behind what platforms may work better depending on the industry that you're in or who you're serving, but always start out with something that you're comfortable with that offers a little bit more feature wise so that you're not kind of stuck in one area or type of media that you can share.
Such good information. Thank you for that.
Ab-
Anything else we need to explore regarding the importance of showing up and where to show up before we move into the second
The
non-negotiable?
the only last thing that I will say is when you're picking platform, pick one or two platforms and just show up consistently. Because when you're able to drive traffic from both of those, it's going to make it a lot easier when you add in maybe email marketing or you add in a website because you've already trained yourself in the habit of kind of that cross pollination between more than one platform. And it just adds that additional step. So it doesn't seem so daunting. So definitely start out with one to two platforms and just create that consistency.
Love it. Okay. So we know we can't be a secret and be a success. We're starting to show up. We're giving consistency in who we are, in our that our brand matches our message, that we are understanding that we're not a florist, we're a marketing firm or whatever it is that we're doing. What's the second non-negotiable?
Absolutely. So the next thing is now you've created this consistency, you're showing up, you're showing who you are, what you're interested in, what influences you, and kind of the way that you approach different situations. Now we need to know what are we offering. So again, it ties back into I'm not a florist. I offer marketing services. So how can I relay that to the audience who is searching for that? Now, I don't like to promote you have to have everything figured out to start talking about what you're offering. You can
Right.
have an idea and start talking about that and saying, let's have a conversation and learn more about it because it may be a little bit different depending on who's being attracted by what you're talking about in how you're offering it to them. So, for instance, I primarily work with individuals in the coaching space, but I do work with other service based providers, such as a museum. I've worked with a few different brick and mortar stores that offer product and services.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know a few different ways to really navigate okay, what am I offering? How do I talk about that? Because you may offer more than one thing. You may
Mm-hmm.
offer maybe one-on-one coaching, but you also do a container type where it's a group program. And they're
Mm-hmm.
going to each have different things that you're offering within them. So being able to have kind of the broad picture, I know I want to communicate with people and connect with them on a deeper level, one-on-one. Great. I can start talking about what are benefits of connecting one-on-one with somebody. What are the things that know I'm going to be able to offer as far as resources, tools, action items to get them moving forward? Because we all have experience, no matter what type of industry you've worked in previously to starting a business. I worked 15 years in the service industry doing everything from entry level to management.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to see how to really integrate what I'm doing and what I'm providing and how to speak with people at different levels. Because with marketing, as you know, we can get lost in the jargon.
Yeah.
I often have to kind of give myself that mental reminder of, oh, I went a little too technical. Okay, got to break it down sometimes. But I see that based on, okay, what room am I in? Where are we at level wise? In what I can share that they're going to understand, or even just push to that next level if they get it, but not fully. So I can train them in, here's what we're talking about with this term. So knowing what we offer and how to explain it is really important. So that's definitely that second non-negotiable.
Well, and I love that you say that because I find that coaches sometimes get caught up in coach speak. Like we're talking about, oh, I'm going to like bring out your inner wisdom and I'm going to use inquiry and and I'm like, people want to understand the results. They want, so if you find that you get caught up in coach speak,
Mhm.
you're likely not connecting the way that, which is why we use our clients' words, which is why we listen for what they're looking for. We ask questions to explore that. So to Jocelyn's point, like, are you clearly communicating what it is that you're offering? I love your point also about you don't have to have every I dotted, every T crossed before you begin to talk about the transformation that you offer, the results that you get. And that data might be coming, from Jocelyn's point, from before you were even a coach. What kinds of changes did you help people make before you ever even came? Your life did not begin when you finished your certification or decided to become a coach. You had things that you did, ways that you presented, the ways that people engaged with you before you ever became a coach. So widen that lens to really get some thoughts about what it is that you're offering and speak their language. Let go of this like jargon. Don't speak jargon. Nobody's attracted to
Absolutely.
jargon.
Absolutely. Well, and I think the key point is that we've all had different experiences, both in personal life, business, professional life, that kind of influence the way we approach things or how we speak
Mhm.
about things or how we feel that we need to present it. I know for when I first started out, as we mentioned before we started, is that I started my business in New York and I was like a very small fish in a very big pond. And I would walk into networking events and feel like, do I even belong here? I know I have value. I know I have things that I can offer that are going to make a huge transformation, but am I going to be able to offer that to these people who have been in business longer than me, who have all these degrees and all these certifications, where I'm just starting out and I know I'm just here because I want to help people. I want to help
Mhm.
people get their message into the world. I want to help them increase their impact and really have a bigger purpose outside of just providing a service. Because a lot of the clients I work with are providing a service to do more outside of the work they're actually doing because that
Mhm.
provides for that. And so they have other things they want to do, whether it's charities or nonprofits and things like that. They have a bigger mission that this is just a little thing that serves into that. So for me, it was, can I be in the same room with these big fish who have far more experience maybe that I have, but then I take into all of the experiences I had as an individual and how I felt in those rooms, because some of my clients also feel that way in some of the rooms they're in. So I know how to navigate that and really make them feel comfortable. One of the things that was dubbed at an event that I attended was, they call me the sanctuary, because every time they would have a conversation with me or just be in a room and communicating was, I made them feel calmer. This is feedback that I've gotten, is
Mhm.
I made them feel calm. The overwhelm and anxiety went away. They knew they had a clear picture after walking through things. And that's all people want. It's just to know, one, they're being held, you're there to support them, and you know the path to get them there, even though that path may change along the way, because we get the data that's then going to decide, okay, we're going to go this way versus this way. And so it's really important to not compare yourself and know you have something to offer. It's just going to be how you're offering it
Right.
that's going to make the difference.
So good. And that concept of how do you make people feel emotionally when they work with you? We've had a show about that and how important it is. And I love that you were getting the feedback
Mhm.
about, what are the results you get when you work with me? Listen for what people say. Oh, I love being with Joe because he lifts me up, or I feel lighter, or I love being with Jocelynn. She's that safe place that just calms me. You
Mhm.
know, I love to be with so and so because such and such. Like, pay attention to how do people feel when they work with you? That is huge. Love that.
Absolutely. Well, and you and I know just from our previous work with each other through Rick is that I like to call my workstation my spaceship because I have
Mhm.
about 80 inches of screen. So to a lot of people, that in itself is super overwhelming. But for me, I'm able to kind of keep that calm, cool demeanor because I've set it up to work for me versus working against me. And I juggle a lot of hats. I do a lot of different strategy with different clients, again, in all different industries. So I have to have systems and everything set up in a way that supports me to be able to support you and be that calming, be that grounding source for you to know, okay, I'm good. I know where I'm going. Even if I don't know what I'm really sharing as I go, I know where I'm going. And that's a big part for me that every client that I work with or connect with or speak to, they get to feel that. Even if I may be going, what in the world am I doing right now inside? They don't see that on the outside
Right.
because I'm there to support and serve them. And
Love that.
ultimately, that's where we're going to get the success.
So another thing that when we think about what we're offering,
Mhm.
you talked about you might end up expanding what you offer, and that's fine. That's great. That's kind of part of evolution as a business owner, evolution. And yet you don't have to have the whole menu put together before you begin to offer what you have. What are some ways that we can determine if what we're offering is what the audience wants?
Absolutely. So, one of the things, especially with your marketing, is the content that you're putting out, which that kind of gives us a little hint into non-negotiable number three, but we'll hold off till we get there. Is that you have to ask your audience. There's going to be content that you're sharing where you're really collecting data. That is what you're doing with the content. That's the sole intention of that piece of content is what are you liking? What are you not liking? What do you want more of? What can I be clearer on? What are you not seeing that you're seeing elsewhere that maybe I can give more accessibility to? So ask your audience, and you're going to see that in the data based on what are they engaging with? What are they commenting? What's getting shared the most? What's leading them into other conversations with you, whether it's connecting to your website, connecting to joining your email list, to then eventually getting on a call with you where they're getting to have that conversation. So all of that is being told in the data. You can't get the data until you're showing up consistently and you're starting to see what's working and what's not. And that's where it starts to develop your strategy. Because that strategy is going to be up and down with you along the way as you're offering more. Maybe you're pulling back and not offering as much. You're getting a little bit more narrowed into what you're offering because your audience is telling you what they want.
Which
And
is exactly what we're going to talk about with number three. So, what is our third non negotiable for successful
yeah,
marketing?
absolutely. So number three is really the implementation and doing it effectively. So how are we getting our content out there to get this data? So do we have one? Are we doing it ourselves? This is a key thing. So if you're first starting out in business, you kind of wear all the hats. Your HR, your marketing, your sales, your content
Your
creation.
service delivery. Yeah, yeah, the whole nine
Exactly.
yards.
Everything all in one. So there's going to be a different way that you approach the implementation when you're running everything solo versus when you're ready to start delegating and bringing on support team members. So when you're doing it on your own, the easiest way is find the systems and software that can help you implement it in an automated fashion. So any schedulers that can help you create the content, I plug it and it goes. Plug and play. Ready to go. I don't have to worry about it till the next time I'm creating content.
And
That is
schedulers can be any price range. All the things that Joss is going to talk about, you don't always have to start at the Mercedes or Porsche end of it. I mean,
oh,
you can, there are usually a range from free
absolutely.
sometimes
Yeah,
to, high end.
absolutely. And when I'm talking through scheduling too, it's for content, finding scheduling for booking calls that automates that so you're not having to worry about, did I reply to this person who reached out and wanted to talk to me? Did I send them the right link? Have as much of it automated as you can because it's going to make it a lot easier on you just to stay organized and productive in that. And then as you get to that next level where, okay, I've got quite a few clients, it's starting to get a little too overwhelming. Now it's cutting into my personal life. So I'm melting over my boundaries of my work-life balance. I need to have support that maybe can do it more effectively than I can do right now and
Mhm.
save me time, save me money while propelling my business into that
And
next.
allow me to do those money making service
Yeah,
delivery hours and let somebody else do their genius work in marketing or customer service or whatever it is that is going to free up your time to either be with family or to be with your clients.
absolutely. And when you get to that next step, because with my business, I kind of started out while in New York, I was doing this kind of part-time, doing regular day job and figuring it all out. But once I moved to California, it was all or nothing, full in, full time. I need help because your brain and mindset really starts to shift when you're
Mhm.
having to wear it all because then you get really tied to, is this working, is it not working, and you start to second guess and get that imposter syndrome coming through.
Mhm.
So knowing what to delegate, and I always have clients or prospects that are saying, well, how do I know what to delegate, because I have this list of things. I always have them do a weekly report. Sit down, log everything that you're working on through that week. How long does it take you to complete each task? Do you find that you're pushing tasks over and procrastinating on them because something else takes priority over them? Jot that all down and then say, out of this list, what do I really love doing that just lights me up? What are the things that I don't really like doing, but are a part of business that has to happen?
But that
Those are
I don't necessarily have to be the one to do, because there are some things that you might not even like that really you're the person who needs to do them. First of all, then you need to maybe look at your business and what's going on and what it is about that that makes, so for example, if you're consistently taking clients that you don't like working with, that's a different discussion. But in general, as you look at this list, like Jocelyn said, what really needs to be done, but maybe you don't have to be the person who needs to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to be able to see those items that, again, maybe are easy to hand off. So they're easier to relinquish the control on it. I know that was a big thing for me when I first hired my first employee. I was like, if I don't do it though, is it going to be done right? And you have to start to give that trust in, okay, I'm going to delegate it. Here's guidelines around it. So
Right.
I
And I'm
always,
going to have a system that makes
yeah,
that possible.
absolutely. Those procedures, because if you like things being done a certain way, everybody has their own way of operating and how they complete tasks. Say, this is a way that I really have found works for the clients and the audience that I'm serving. How can you recreate that, but do it
Mhm.
more efficiently? So having those items kind of in place after you look at that and delegating, because then again, it's going to give you back your time. It's going to give you back all of that mental capacity that you're wasting on things that aren't bringing you joy, but have to be done. And I'm good. A short little story of kind of how
Oh, yeah.
delegation really played a part in my life is The last 8 months, I dealt with some major health issues that kind of made it that point of if I don't delegate this and let my health suffer, my business is going to go under. And that's just what's going to happen.
And your health was going to go under if you didn't pay attention to
Exactly.
where the
So
priority needed
kind
to
of
be.
weighing the odds. Do I really need to stay in control of everything, be fully in the day to day, or can I relinquish some of that control and delegate to my team who I've handpicked because they all have the skill set to do that, but I just haven't let them fully go into their potential and let my health suffer? Or do I focus on my health and let my team do what I hired them to do? And by being able to do that, I was out of work in the day to day for almost 6 months between two major surgeries, but nobody had any idea that I was out of work because my team had kept everything, the machine running, everything was automated, content was still rolling because we pre planned for that. We had that in our strategic plan of how to keep things moving forward so that they didn't need my daily input on things. They could continue moving through. And my audience didn't realize that I was out for about 6 months until I made a formal announcement in an email and a social media post. And then, of course, we had all the impouring of, I had no idea you had content that I really loved that was shared a month ago. And it's all because we created a system, created a container to have that automation and consistency going so that I could take that step back and focus on my health to where now I get to come back and have brand new strategies and new outlooks because I have the time and capacity to do that because my team can handle most of those tasks that I was able to delegate in the tough time that's now keeping me through in the good time.
So while all of you might not have sort of a other power, kind of like you're going to take this time off because your health and well-being needs it, the lesson there, and I'm so glad you're doing well and you're looking great, and but the lesson there is, are you holding so tight onto things and not believing that anybody else can do it, that you don't need a health crisis or something to really rock your world to think about what Jocelynn said. She handpicked her team. She trained her team. She like put systems in place, but was still in that place of, oh, but do I have to have my finger on the pulse of it all? And then realized that when that wasn't possible, everything she put in place really did keep things going.
Yes, absolutely.
Bravo.
And, it really showed my team the amount of trust that I had in them and
Mm-hmm.
that I was giving them my baby pretty much to
Yeah.
keep going while I focused on my health and to be able to come back to them and support them even more. And so like Mike said, it doesn't have to be a health crisis that happens, but maybe you want to travel more.
Mhm.
Maybe you want to be able to have new things in life or have a specific lifestyle. But in order to do that, you have to have support in order to implement effectively with all of your content because now you're showing up regularly, you know what you're offering. Now, how's it getting out there in the best way possible? And you have to
Yeah.
rely on the data.
You have, so then the data. So let's talk a little more specific. When you say data, what are
Mhm.
the kinds of things that you keep track of for your clients or that you encourage your clients to keep track of?
Absolutely. So social media specific, um, obviously we're looking at followers. I'm a huge believer in you don't have to have a massive following as long as you have the right people in your audience that are activated buyers. So you may look at someone's account and they have 2,000 followers, but yet they're making seven figures.
Mm.
How does that correlate? Then you may have someone who has 15,000 followers and they're only making 500
Mhm.
a month. So how do you plan all of that out and really understanding what's the important data marks to look at and what's not? So you have your vanity or what I like to call your pretty metric to where they're really big numbers but they don't really equate to conversion. So followers is one of those. I still keep track of them to see, are we getting consistent growth and
Mhm.
are we bringing in the right people? So I do follow, I keep track of the followers for that reason, but not, oh, are we getting 100 to 1,000 new followers every week? I'm not looking at it in that sense. I'm looking at, are we getting the right people in, even if it's
Yeah.
5 new followers a month?
And how do we know they're the right people?
Yes, so that's going to tie into, again, what are you offering? So for instance, if I'm looking for new clients, I'm looking primarily in coaching. I like to work with life coaches, business coaches. I also like to work with health and wellness coaches. So are those individuals coming to me and following my account? Are they engaging with the content that I'm putting out? Are they engaged and excited and activated by what they're seeing? Because that's then going to lead to a more open conversation when I
Mhm.
reach out to them of, how can we support you in your business today? Then they say, oh, I know she's got the chops, she has everything I need. I just need to make that decision and make it right
Mhm.
and go forward with it. So those are the real key markers to knowing, am I really reaching the right people? Because if you're bringing in photographers and you don't work with photographers, you're not bringing in the right people.
Right. Right.
So, or like deli owners,
Right.
maybe that's not your target.
So paying attention to what the demographics are of the people who are following you. Are you
Yes,
offering a download or a freebie? And are people actually following through and getting that from your website? Is it
yes,
growing your list? Are the people who are engaging with you wanting whatever it is that you're offering?
absolutely. One of the other metrics that we follow specific on social media is your reach, because the nice thing about that number is it's telling you how many people are seeing your content and engaging with it that may not necessarily be following you yet, but they're following your journey of what you're putting out there before becoming the committed follower.
I had a
So,
guest call them stalkers. I can't remember
yes,
who said,
yes,
but they're sort of stalking you before they like
yes.
actually connect with you.
Well, and it's the same way as you know that there's going to be people who are kind of in your fan club that are following along, but maybe haven't bought yet because they're waiting for that moment to see, that's the thing I need.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
is going to solve my problems. That's going to get me
Right.
where I need to go. And some people, that's a shorter span. Others, it takes a little bit longer for them to
Hmm.
feel like they can trust in what you're offering them and where they're going to go in that outcome that they're wanting.
I cannot tell you how many times I've talked to a coach who said, I had somebody who like would engage with my posts and talk, or maybe they downloaded one of my giveaways. And then suddenly, like 2 years later, 3 years later, they reached out and said, I have been following you and now I'm ready to engage.
Yes.
So that's that consistency, right? That's that consistency and not getting all wrapped around like, well, there's people consuming who are not like they're
Absolutely.
not paying customers yet. It's okay. You're
Absolutely.
offering value, you're creating impact, whether every and you can't serve everybody in the world anyway. So give your value, and then those people that need what you have, they're going to engage.
Well, and the thing is we all still need the fans because those are the people who are going to intentionally share your content because they resonate with it, even if they may not have the means then to become a client just yet. They're going
Hmm.
to keep sharing that and be your biggest promoters and sharing it with other people who may be ready and may have the means to jump in right at that moment. So you still want to have them, but you want to have a balance between the fans and the activated, ready to buy consumer.
Love that. All right, Joss, we talked about the importance of showing up, the importance of knowing what we're offering and making sure that other people know what we're offering. And then we've got to implement, and data is our friend. It helps us fine tune that implementation. What have we left on the table, if anything, as we think about these non-negotiables for successful marketing?
I would say don't get stuck in having to have the perfect thought out golden tip, golden resource. Just show up and share your insight, your point of view, because there's going to be people that resonate with that and that are going to take maybe more value than you intended that piece of content to be. And also not feel so serious in having the perfectly edited, perfect looking content all of the time. I think some of the content that I've shared, even through my business pages, is me hair in a bun, looking like a hot mess, but people resonated with because they've felt that way and they've
Mm-hmm.
had a similar situation to that. Or, you know, they don't want to feel put together all of the time. Nobody's put
Mm-hmm.
together all of the time. So having a mixture of both of those, that yes, I can be done up and walk into a room and speak to thousands of people, but I can also sit on my couch with a cup of coffee and let you know what insight I got this morning and not have to be all done up.
Love, love it. So, once again, if you want to know more about Jocelynn Flowers and the work that she does with her team, be sure to grab the links that are either in the show notes at starcoachshow.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, they're right below this video. And my conversation with Jocelynn is going to continue in the Star Coach community. If you haven't explored the Star Coach community, you are missing out. We do some fabulous things and talk about being intentional and keeping coaching in your business front burner. That's exactly what we do in the community. So you can check out the community at starcoachshow.com/community. We bring strategies, tools, and resources every single week to you to help you thrive and get your impact into the world. Whether you're a coach, whether you're a leader, whether you're somebody who would like to connect and communicate with other people better, you're in the right place. So be sure to come back again next week. Once again, a very huge thank you to Jocelynn Flowers for joining me today. Joss, it's always great to spend time with you.
I'm so thankful that I was able to be here and give your audience some tips and tools and resources.
Just a second, Jess, we're not hearing you.
Oh, let's
Okay,
see.
try again.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes. So
All
let's
right.
go back to thank you, Jocelynn, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to share insight and tools and resources for your audience to be able to go level up their business.
So good. You have a great week. So until next week, this is Meg Rentschler wishing you the very best for your success. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and join us again next week.